welcome to Nottingham Guitar Lessons and Vintage Guitar Amp Restorations. I'm making good use of this ironing board today, and the reason is I'm just stuck some amps on it to film. So what I'm going through on this video is some of the up and coming projects that we're going to have on the channel. I'm going to start with this one. This is a Selmer True Voice treble and bass 50. This belongs to a close friend of mine, and it needs a recap and a few other bits and bobs. He's got the case because he's tarting that up, I think. So let's have a look at this. So it's a 2-channel amp, and just a straight volume treble and bass on each channel. Normal channel and bass channel, though you generally find if you look at the schematics they're almost identical. Got a choke on there, sizable output transformer, 50 watts obviously, power transformer. So, and we've got, if we look, we've got 4 12AX7s, I'd imagine. Let's have a look, and they're Mullards by the look of it. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, Mullard yellow prints on there, just hone in, so that's good. We'll test all these and see if they're good. Let's have a look at this one, Mullard again. And there, what we got here, Mullard again. So again, probably the original tubes on this, I'm guessing, for the preamp tubes. So he goes in there, and we should have the same here. Now this amp has reverb. Does this amp have reverb? No, it don't have reverb. And that's I don't know what that is. Let's hone in on that. Some kind of nondescript tube. Not sure what that is, but anyway, looks fairly new, that. Caps, let's hone in on those. 32 microfarad. It looks like we've got some series wiring going on there with those, so we must have a fair bit of HT on this. Let's just have a look at the back. So here we are looking at the back. We've got 2 EL34s, and they look like Marshall ones to me. You can just see through the glass. And then we've got a 5 AR4. You can see there, if we hone in, that looks very soft. That's soft tech, that one. So they're the tubes. So we'll just hone in on those caps from this side, and you can see they don't look particularly great. That one don't. It's a bit lumpy on the top there. So we've got 2 input sockets there, 15 ohms and 7.5. I think this amp's from about between 63 and 65, I think, I'm not sure. Fuse holders there, voltage selector, crude but effective. That's these are great amps, actually, great sounding amps. Let's have a look underneath. There we go, that's the underneath. See components, and the first thing we notice on this amp is that something has either been spilt in it, or there's been some kind of capacitor explode, and there's electrolyte all over those wires. Look there, you can see, although there's no visible signs that anything's been particularly changed, although that capacitor there looks a bit on the drift. I've done a bit of testing on this amp already, and somebody has been in here and done a few bits and bobs. So we decided to we're going to recap this amp. You can see there's some capacitors there that are disconnected because I was testing those on the capacitance meter. We decided to do a full recap. So you can see there's a resistor there been added on there. So this should be a good project. Looking forward to this one. There. So let's have a look at some of the components that we've got for this that's going in it. So we've got three F&T cans to go in. 32, 32. They're all three are the same. Only the best for this amp. Can't beat the F&Ts. And we've got the Spragues, the bypass caps there. And if you look here, we've got this. Oops, sorry, there's that. I'll just hone out a bit. So you can see those. We've got the Sozos there for the coupling caps. So yeah, this is having all the best gear in it, and it deserves it because it's a classic British vintage amplifier. So here's the second Selmer amp, and yes, it's solid state, but it's a bass amp. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So we're going to restore this as well. Questionable whether this is worth restoring, because it's obviously not worth a lot. But I've took pity on it and decided that I'm going to restore this amp. If we look down there on that corner, it's had a bit of a knock at some point, so that will need straightening out. It's no big deal. See, it's just your classic twin channel solid state amp, volume, treble, bass, presence, same on the other side. Nothing fancy really. Output stage, if we look, they're not original. 2N3773s. I would have thought that'd have had 3055s in it when it were new. Could be wrong, but I'm guessing it did. They've been changed at some time. Now this amp does run, but it's getting extremely hot. There's obviously some issues with this amp, despite it being incredibly filthy inside. There's some issues on the power amp stage. What I do with these is I tend not to mess about. I just replace all the transistors, any resistors that are out of spec and things like that, and any caps. I just replace just recap it and just put transistors in, because by the time you're done messing about testing transistors and stuff, you could have just put new ones in, and they cost pennies. It's not even worth bothering with. So I just replace them straight away, just restore the board. I've got a transistor, that's rather strange there. You just see that transistor there poking its head out, so we need to have a look at that. It's a bit odd, isn't it? Not seen that before. Well, that's strange. A couple of big capacitors there. That one is 2500 microfarad at 70 volts working. I can't see what the other one is because someone's conveniently turned it over to the blank side. This, I think, is from around 1973-4. I could be wrong, and I can't remember why I've got that in the back of my mind. Let's have a look at the rear of it. So nothing spectacular on the back, just the fuses and a slave output, a couple of 4-ohm speaker sockets, which you'd expect. We've got a couple of transistors here, one there and one there. One of those has obviously been replaced, but we'll just replace both of them. And yeah, just thought I'd do this. It's a bit unique. There's not many of them left, so I thought, blow it, we'll add that. So that'll be coming up on the channel as well. So here's another prime chattel that we're going to be covering on the channel. This is a Carlsbra 100 watt PA with reverb, and this is very similar to the one that I restored a month or so ago, except this one's a slightly later model, and the covering on this one is different. It's more grained, the later sort of grain pattern covering, as opposed to the more smoother covering that the earlier ones had. Much to the same layout, some very odd volume knobs on there, because they should all be the coloured ones on that. And this, again, this amp does run. It is a bit sick, but it does run. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this. I may mod this and turn it into a guitar amp. So here we're looking at the back. Cabinet definitely needs a wash. It's well scruffy. So if we look in the back, there we've got 3 preamp valves and some odd valve seats there, because that one's sat, if we look, if we just zoom in, you can see that the valve on the right is sat lower down than the valve on the left, and if we look at these two, you can just about see the same as well. So this socket been swapped there at one time, or 2 sockets have been swapped. You can see the Accutronics reverb there. I think that's an Accutronics one, could be wrong, can't quite see, but yeah, that's the reverb tank. A nice sizable output transformer, choke, and the huge power transformer. And then we've got the EL34s there. I can't see what they are. I don't think these valves will be original. I'd be surprised. Blimey, that's oddly in. That's a Brymer. Oh, it could be in there. Ew. That is a Mullard. You can see that. Sorry, just trying to get hold of that right. Yeah, so you can see that's a Mullard. So some choice valves in this amp. That socket's been swapped definitely. It has. That's a ceramic one. So no doubt that one has. So that'll be an original socket on that one. Impedance selector on there, and it's good. And often these are missing, or they've got bits of wire bodged in them, so it's nice that they're all intact. Same on the other side there for the voltage selection. So yeah, these are great amps. They are really good. So that's the Carlsbra CS100 reverb. That's that we're going to be looking at pretty soon. Well, I thought I'd have to have a look inside this amp, because I've not actually looked in it. And yes, this amp. So let's start with this. This is the is that the HT fuse? No, that's the mains fuse. So let's hone in on that. And someone has put tape around that for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Not quite sure why that was around there. But anyway, so we removed that tape from there. It was there for no reason. I didn't know what I was going to find there. If we look over here, we can see some nasty electrolyte coming out of that capacitor there, and that is like Mrs. Blenkinsop's TV. It is blown, madam. And we've also had, looks like we've had, if we look on the board here, we hone round into there, we've had yet more shenanigans going on there. I'm not sure what's been going on there. There's a spare lug there. Those capacitors look very sick indeed. These two have been changed at some time, a long time ago. They look like cornet doublier, I think, as he pronounced that. Not sure, but they've been added. This has also been added, and this is the troublesome reverb thing. If you remember on the last one where we were showing you that those resistors are, and look at this, if you can see that, see that's all loose there. You can just see, because they get so hot, they just like turn into a soldering iron and melt their own solder terminals. And if you remember on the last one, the eyelets were completely destroyed. Now this amp, by the look of it, and if we look where this differs from the last one I did, this one is a PC board and not an eyelet board. So double the problems there. More than likely under there, all the print's just going to be burnt away. A really stupid way to do that. So these resistors, if you haven't watched the last one, these resistors, normally there's one, and it's 25k, and it's dropping something like 440 volts, and it goes all the way down to 20 volts and arrives at this transformer array here. You can see, if we just hone in there, it arrives down there at 20 volts. So dropping that amount of voltage creates a hell of a current across those resistors, and they just can't take it being soldered into that board. If you remember what we did, we used this space on the last one, and we put a 50 watt resistor, chassis mount resistor on there to cure that problem and make that safe. Not only is that unreliable, it's also not very safe, is it really? It's not great. So this, not only does this amp require a complete recap, but that's all got to be sorted out and made safe. And if we look, we can see, and I think there's a bypass cap there I'd spotted earlier. If we look at that, you can see he's blown as well, madam. So he's done for. If we look at this capacitor here, and that one don't look very sparkling either, does it? So this amp needs a lot of work, and someone's been in it before, and which is no surprise given its age. But if we look at that soldering on there, oh my days, you can see that it's been botched, terribly botched. If we look at that, we can focus in, if we look at that green and that ground wire, that green and yellow wire, you see the soldering on that is abysmal. So that's all got to be addressed, because of course the problem is that every time you open an amp and it's got abysmal soldering in it, you then own that abysmal solder, because if you don't put it right, everyone will just think that you've left it like that, so because you were the last person to go in it. So I ain't leaving that. Very annoying, but nonetheless got to be done. So it's all part of the job. Trying to think, see anything else? See a lot of this looks like an electrical earth wire. Well, probably don't in America, but it does in this country. That's the colour of our grounds that we have in house wiring. So yes, this just needs a coat of looking at. Of course, the PC board's a bit of a downer. There's nothing worse than PC boards, and these Carlsbra PC boards are known to have very flimsy tracks on them. Usually around here where you can see the diodes there going in. If we just hone in on the end of that board, you should just be able to see those diodes there, those squarey, they're rectangular things there. They're the diodes, and they have an habit of blowing, and when they do, they take most of the track with it as well. So that needs a coat of looking at. In fact, looking at the state of this amp, really, it's highly possible that I may just out this board altogether and drop a turret board in and wire, just do another complete amp altogether. There's those sockets that's been swapped, look. We're just honing down there. You can see those. I wonder why they've mounted them that way. Is there a reason? Sorry for that. Is there a reason for that they've mounted them that way? Because surely it's like they've packed them out with washers for some reason. Very strange. That's something we're going to have to look at. I don't quite know what they've been doing there, but anyway, they've been swapped. Solder work looks okay on those. So yes, so that's another project that we'll be doing on the channel. Up and coming. Still got the old bulging socket I don't think I'll be leaving that in there. That'll have to come out, I think. So yeah, that's the Carlsbra CS 100. I just had to have a look inside, and also I'll remove the tubes. We're turning it upside down, and these are mullards that are in here, but they do sound a little bit microphonic, but who knows, till they're plugged in, might be alright. So that's it. So let's have a look at something else. So this is a Dominator Mark Iii. And I've already started. I've got 3 of these to do. One, the grill cloth's been changed, and it's a Union Jack grill cloth, so we'll have to be and it's not very good Union Jack grill cloth, so we should be removing that, but that's another story. Anyway, on to this one. So usually on these amps, you usually find that the badges are tainted, but that one is perfectly intact and all the paint's on it, which is rare. Another thing that is these silver panels, which has got all the you can see the look in there, volume, bass and treble, and the model name on it at the end. They're normally missing as well on a lot of them. So we've got that one here, and you can see from the grill cloth that there's no speaker in it, because that was balloon, madam, it was a scraper. So that's that Scrapman's took that. That's long gone, because I've had these a while. So 2-channel amp, volume, treble and bass, same on the other side. Great sounding amps for you know, for what they are. They were in the day there was a budget amp, but they are great. And I've got a couple of these I use for gigging, although they have been modded. So this amp runs on EL84s, but I've modded mine to 6V6s, and I've also paralleled the channels to this input socket there. If you plug into that one, you can just run this channel on its own, but if you plug into that, you can run them both in parallel. So that is what I have done with mine. Just gives them a bit more juice owner. So we've just turned it round there. We're looking at the top and the back, so you can see the grills there, and if you look just in the edge of there, you can see I got a free wasp with it. He's still there, but we won't be including him in the restore project. So we'll remove the back, and here's one I prepared earlier, just so you can get the back off. Just get that last screw out. Yep, there we go. So if we have a peek inside there, we can see, look, you can see the EL84s there, and there's 3 preamp valves, which are 12X7s ECC83. We've got a capacitor there on the board, which is for the preamp section, and then we've got a dual cap there, which is for the plate and screens. That looks like that's been replaced, because these all had a particular type of capacitor in, which I can't remember what they were, but I always know when I see them. So yes, that's again, I'm not doing very well with this camera today. Let's take that out and have a look. Oh dear. That's not I think I've been done up like a kipper there, but never mind. So 3 of these, and one of them I may just restore as a Dominator, but one of them, which I've already started doing some work on, one of them I'm converted into a Fender Princeton Reverb, which is a bit of a challenge, but that's what we're doing with that. And I've already built up the turret board for that, and we'll be putting all that together. You can see these have got an aluminium chassis in there. You just about see that they've got aluminium chassis. So yes, 3 of these. The other one I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, because again we've got to get all the grill cloth and everything off that one. It's going to be a full-blown cabinet makeup as well. So that's the Dominator. So I have got this out of the cabinet. Thought we'd better have a look at what we've got. So those output tubes have been swapped there for those nondescripts. Let's have a look what these always have a job getting these out of these. Very difficult to do with one hand. Mullard. So I've not only mildly been done up like a kipper with this one, assuming all these tubes are good, of course, because they're not forced to be. We'll need to test them. Leave that there. Now, I believe the middle valve on this is the phase inverter, and he's never been out that socket by the feel of him. It's just, and he's a Mullard as well, so he's a result. Somebody's at the door, and that's pink. Can hear a scratch in it, and I think that is a Mullard as well, but somebody has, or I don't know, all the prints off it anyway. That goes in there. Just going to let pink in, just give me a minute. Right, having been rudely interrupted by pink, we'll carry on. So if we hone in on this capacitor here, which you can see, can't quite see what's on that. So the age of this amp, I would say, is around about 1973-74, this particular one. And I think these ran till about 1979, 78, 79. And there's the, oh no, he's not been swapped, so that is the original one. Yeah, so he's not been swapped, but he'll have to be. 50-year-old. Yep, so we just have a bit of a breeze across so you can see. Very dusty, nice size output transformer on there. It's one of the good things about these, they do have quite a decent sized output transformer. This video, and I've just carried this downstairs, so even as fit as I am, that's made me wince a bit. This is a 200 watt 7-channel mixer amp, and it's extremely heavy. I've just carried that down 2 flights of stairs. My forearms are seriously hurting. So what are we going to do with this? Well, first thing about this amp is this amp has a little bit of sentimental value to me and a group of friends, really. This amp originally belonged to a friend of mine who died of cancer in 2007, and he used to call this amp the fridge, because it's almost as big as a fridge and it weighs nearly as much as a fridge, probably more than a fridge. And the service engineer or tech that I worked with for a lot of years in my younger days, he owned this amp up until he retired, and then I bought it off him with a few other bits and bobs, and it's been stood up on the top floor for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe. So we need to do something with it soon. This amp runs on KT88s. There's 4 of them in there, and anybody who's into tube amps will know they are very expensive tubes to buy. So we're hoping those tubes are good. It did run when I plugged it in last time, and it did run up, but it was again very sick. It'll be PC board. The circuit board will be a PC board in this. It won't be eyelet. I can tell that from the era that it's from. These are some of the last Carlsbra valve tube amps that they made before they went on solid state. And if we hone in and have a look, so you can see we also have these coloured knobs on there, and you very rarely find these amps intact with these knobs intact. There's always either the inserts are missing and some get broken off. So you can see we've got the green ones are the bass, the yellow ones are the treble, and then obviously the red ones are the volumes, and then we've got a master volume, a master treble, and a master bass. A bit strange on there. 7 channels, send and return. You can see there a slave output, and I've actually got an 100 watts Carlsbra slave, same style as this upstairs, which does run well and is loud. And you can see the mains, the pilot light there is damaged as well. The red, there's like the jewel on there that's missing off there. Now the other thing is, with this amp, when we're working on it, we've got to be extremely careful, and it does warn you on the schematic to wear insulation gloves. There is over 700 volts on the HT on this amp at node 1, so a lot of volume, a lot of electricity going through that first node. If we look at these handles on top, these are more modern Carlsbra handles from the 90s that they had on a lot of the PAs, and you can see the original handle was there, and it's probably just broken off because of the sheer weight of it. So I think Andy, my friend, put those on, I'm guessing. So yes, let's have a look at the back. So just looking at that mains cable there, so not quite sure what's going on with that. We need to look. Same as the last Carlsbra we looked at. It's got the same input selectors on there, and you can see the other one at the other end. Got 100 volt line on this as well. You can see there. Speaker output sockets, we've got 4. Usual thing, mains and HT fuse. That's been added. Not quite sure what that's about, but that's been added. Whether that's another speaker socket or whether that's some kind of auxiliary out, I'm not sure what that is, but that has been added. So I've took the back door off, and that's as far as I'm going to go with this. I am not taking this out of the case. It weighs a ton. It really is heavy. It probably weighs around £100 in weight. So if I'm grappling with this, it's only going to be when I'm actually going to work on it. So there's the KT88s. You can see there. And I'm not sure what. Let's see if we can get one out. So if we hone in, we can see made in the UK, but we don't really know who's made them or whatever. Those are beasts. Yeah, that. Oh, sorry, let's just zoom out a bit. Sorry about that. So, and I'm probably guessing these are the original tubes. They do come out of the sockets very easily. Yeah, that's the same type. So they probably are, and the other two are the same. I can see you can see the label on the third one, so guessing the other one will be the same. So just check out that output transformer there. That is, and you probably can't see just how huge that is on a video. That is massive. And if we go across to the main power transformer, that is just humongous. That is a beast. Got a choke down there that's looking rather scared between those two transformers. And look at those capacitors in the back. The size of those, they're not that far off reaching the top of the cabinet, and there's quite a few of those. I can see 3. I've got a feeling there's 2 more at the other side, so I think there's about 5 of those in there. And you can see the back plate with all the pots on there. If you just look in the back, just see if we can zoom in there. A monster of an amplifier. So now I've got some ideas of what I'm going to do with this amp. and I think my friend would have approved of what I'm going to do with this, because Hero's into modding things and doing stuff. Never quite had the money, and I didn't quite have the skills in those days. I'm going back 25 years and more. So, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with this amp and what I'm going to turn it into. But all I can say is that PC board's coming out, and we're going to have a turret board in there, and we're going to have another design of amp in there. So this is going to be a project and a half to do. It's also going to be quite an expensive project. The amount of capacitors that we need, if those tubes are gone, well, they're about £35 a piece. So they're looking at 140 quid for a set of tubes alone if they're gone. I don't know how many preamp valves are in it, but we'll only need 3 for the project. So obviously it's going to be a guitar amp and not a PA. We've got 50 million knobs on the front, which we've got to get rid of as well. So yeah, that's the Carlsbra 200 watt 7-channel mixer with KT88s, a beast of an amp. So that's look through a few things there that we're going to be doing on the channel. I hope you've enjoyed me waffling a lot on about these amplifiers and going through them. Well, I've got to carry this back up 2 flights of stairs now, and I better do it quickly, because if Erin Dawes gets back and sees that on her ironing board, I will be in for 50 lashes of the frying pan. And I'm gonna ring off now, and I'll see you in a future video. So you all take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.